Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 3 for this news report today. I'll probably have 5 parts, so just go and check them out. If the links are posted, it's due to technical issues, or I'll get them up there tomorrow. Army denies request to reveal results of PTSD study. Multiple public information requests for the results of the extensive inquiry into the treatment of soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder have been denied, according to NBC News, but the Army says the results will be made public sooner or later. So for them, that means it could be next 20 years. After they, all these guys most of them are phased out, and they go to drones and cyborgs and a few special forces, and they're dead. So roughly one soldier committed suicide every 25 hours in 2012, the Army said, for a combined total death toll of 349 suicides, an all-time high that outpaced even combat deaths in Afghanistan. Veterans who experience traumatic brain injuries have suicidal thoughts as a result, urged to call this National Suicide Prevention Line. Next up, we have DHS officials retire after immigrants are freed. So I covered this, and I can't believe this. But it's, and the White House says that they didn't know anything about it. Like, yeah, right, dude. I mean, someone has to know something. The senior Homeland Security Department official in charge of arresting and deporting illegal immigrants says here that he announced his retirement the same day the agency said that hundreds of people facing deportation had been released from immigration jails due to looming budget cuts. The government said he had told his bosses weeks ago that he planned to retire. So yeah, but they said that White House said they didn't know anything about it. Bloomberg Businessweek editor wishes he hadn't published controversial housing cover. So I just remember another thing about Joan Rivers. You've probably seen that. It's similar to the story about Rupert Murdoch, basically saying that the media bashes Israel too much, and he got labeled as anti-Semitic. But you have this, this right here. Bloomberg Businessweek is taking a beating from critics who say that the magazine's recent cover, featuring a cartoon illustration of what appears to be a black family rolling in cash from a housing rebound, is racist. Our cover illustration got strong reactions, which we regret, says Bloomberg Businessweek editor-in-chief. A statement on Yahoo News: if we had to do it over again, we'd do it differently. So the February 25th cover depicts the cash-grabbing family members as stereotypical characters inside a 2-story pink home above the headline, "The Great American Housing Rebound." So the claim that minorities are creating a housing bubble through flipping no-look bids and 300% returns is simply not realities, he wrote on thehousingwire.com. So he says they're not exclusive to Hispanic and African American investors. No one is making a 300% return. So, but the thing is what I looked at it. I just, okay, what is it? So let's see. You got a black person, you got a white person, you got a black person, you got a Hispanic person. So what the F? I mean, come on, dude. It's like Joan Rivers, who's a Jew, making a joke about Jews. I mean, it's just, people need to get over this, man. And you read in the comment boards, they're like, dude, just enough is enough. But this is what the media does, dude. It gets people all worked up about hating each other and stuff. Ethnic religious tensions explode at Minneapolis school. Minneapolis High School was on lockdown today. This is February 15th. Today, following a riot that pitched Somali Muslim students against others. So they beefed up police protection and expect weeks of investigation in the wake of an all-out brawl between students at the South High School in the Minnesota metropolis on February 14th. So it goes on here, and it says that it was a racially tinged melee between 200 and 300 students who shoved, kicked, and threw bottles at one another. Reports indicate that the students at the school said that the fight broke out after tensions between Somali Americans and other students flared. The Somalis are largely Muslim, clashing with students of various other ethnic and religious backgrounds, including American Indians and Black Americans. A student is quoted by local media saying that the riot was a racial issue, was the most significant of this year. So one student said the fights were over pride. I know it's a pride thing between Muslims and black people. They want their pride back for something. I don't know, she said. Boys were hitting girls, and that some people were lying on the floor with their hands over their heads to surrender. Says long simmering tensions between the 8% of students who are Somali Americans and the 20% who are African Americans. A boy who's 9 years old was found hanged, was bullied for being white. So he was found hanged at Birmingham home by his mother, believed to be Britain's second youngest suicide caused by bullying. The schoolboy was rushed to the hospital but died of suspected cardiac arrest. So he says here that the family claims he was tormented by bullies at his new school. So He says here he's alleged to have killed himself after he was bullied for being liked by an Asian gang at school. Do I want rules and regulations? No. I just want people to see what's going on in society here. And the double standards says that Aaron was threatened with a plastic knife by one Asian pupil who warned him next time it will be a real one. He also allegedly told by another pupil that all the white people should be dead, and he was forced to hide from the bullies in the playground at lunchtime. So I see that now that I'm living in Chicago for this short period of time, where I see African Americans or blacks kind of eyeing me. They look like I'm looking at me like I'm El Malo, the devil, or something like that. I'm like, dude, I don't owe you anything. Whatever happened to you, you know, it's just conflicting history that I know why they're looking at me like that, and it's just like, what do you want me to do, dude? I didn't kill Indians. I have a pretty good idea that Native Americans weren't actually here. It was white Europeans, but I'm not going to go into all that with people. It's like I don't really care. We're here, it's dead people who kill dead people. I'm not responsible for that. The Civil War. Well, we just covered this. Who was the first American black slave owner? It was a black. And we cover another story about that too. Blacks in U.S. owning slaves. About whites or blacks not being the only slaves. But they, the powers that be, I think I know who they usually are, which are Zionists, like to pit people against each other, and they like to use it by rewriting history. A junior high teacher tells kid to remove Marines t-shirt or get suspended. The latest bit of anti-gun hysteria erupted in a school setting on Monday when an 8th grade teacher threatened a 14-year-old boy with suspension if he did not remove his t-shirt supporting the United States Marines. This was in Northeast Illinois. So the family says, I have a close relationship with the county Marines, and I don't know, that's reserves, and a lot of respect for them, and my son does too. He says, I really couldn't tell you what the teacher was thinking. Well, like I said, it's just they're getting lambasted with propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and hysteria, anti-gun hysteria. So that's why they did it. And they say this because he says that he's worn the t-shirt before on many occasions without any threats of suspension. So they're doing what they're told. They're doing what they're told, what the program and stuff is telling them to do. Toys get a sex change. Lego and other toy makers boost profits by bending genders. So it's part of the androgynous agenda, which has to do with, like I said, emasculating women and feminizing men. There's no gender equality on the toy itself, on the toy shelf, but it says here, boys accounted for 90% of Lego sales, that is, until the Denmark-based company sold a version designed explicitly for girls. So it says previous attempts had fewer building blocks and featured larger figures, more like fashion dolls, like models, right? Because if we want to be like models with the princess programming, we were trying to be much more relevant to girls by being less Lego. Publisher of the ToyInsider.com says many manufacturers are also increasingly going beyond traditional gender roles. 3 more toys usually marketed to boys or girls that are being retooled in 2013 for the opposite sex, including the Easy Bake Oven. Says here, a critical response to more traditional gender stereotypes appears to be gaining momentum. So the Easy Bake Oven, with a more masculine silver, blue, and black model. Boys have always played with the Easy Bake, they say, but they usually are bought for girls. So a Heartbreaker Bow. So nice, again, more programming for the Hunger Games. And they'll have another sequel for that coming out too. So it goes on here. It says, inspired by the Hunger Games 2012 movie based on a trilogy of young adult books set in the post-apocalyptic world, as a young heroine fights for her life, survives thanks to the uncanny ability to handle a crossbow. So it's called the Air Huntress. And then there's the Flutterby Flying Fairies industry. So say boys have gone wild over remote control military-style helicopters and planes. So they did it for girls. All right, next up we have Colorado parents of transgender girl contest school restroom bans. We just talked about this yesterday, or I'm sorry, the day before yesterday, Tuesday, when I did those last 2 videos on this. The parents of a 6-year-old transgender girl in Colorado filed a complaint with the state's civil rights agency on Wednesday, challenging a decision by local re-education and indoctrination officials to deny their child access to the girl's restrooms in her school. So the 5th grader, Coy Mathis, was born male but identifies as a female and had been attending the elementary school since midway through her kindergarten year. So it says here, lawyers representing the parents contend that signaling out their daughter as the only girl in school banned from using the girls' bathrooms was stigmatizing and psychologically damaging. So Since her earliest ability to express herself, she's told the world what would be obvious to anyone who spends a minute with her, that she's a little girl. And this was coming from the director of the New York-based Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, which filed a complaint on her behalf. Also assert that the restroom restrictions imposed by the school violate Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act. Fraternity pays for sex change. So it says here, Boston, Massachusetts, this journey from female to male will continue thanks to a college fraternity that raised money for the sex change surgery. A 20-year-old sophomore at Boston Emerson College learned soon after he joined the Phi Alpha Tau fraternity that his insurance company declined to cover surgery to remove breast tissue to flatten his chest. So this is what you're going to pay for in this world, not just killing babies, but this too. So great, isn't it? So the fraternity members, defying the conventional stereotype of a fraternity, launched a campaign on an online fundraising site with the goal of collecting 8,000 clams needed for the sex change operation. So they say it's a story of transformation and a story of self-discovery and a story of brotherhood or sisterhood. I don't know. But it says here that this money right here that was left over be donated to this Jim Collins Foundation, which helps fund gender-confirming surgeries for transgender people. Emerson has always been very inclusive and accepting of LGBT students, Meyer told. It says here, I didn't even flinch or bat an eye. It just seemed like an everyday thing, or every day for these men. Then we have this, Swedish transgender people seek damages for forced sterilizations. Sweden is often hailed as a forward-thinking society promoting equality for all, but transsexuals who had to accept to be sterilized to complete their sex changes are pushing for compensation after a change in the law. So the 31-year-old who completed her transformation from a man to a woman in 2010 says here she suffered discrimination when she was irreversibly sterilized as part of a sex change process. Until last year, the operation was obligatory for transsexuals who wanted their sex change to be officially recognized by authorities with their personal identity documents reflecting their new gender. They say, we didn't have the right to become parents, we didn't have the right to freeze our eggs or our sperm, said a 22-year-old who recently had a double mastectomy to become a man. It says who will not have to undergo a sterilization to complete the sex change. So the Swedish Federation for Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender Rights is now preparing to help transsexuals who were sterilized under the old law to obtain damages. So far, the government has refused to pay. So Pink shows off Muscular bikini bod in Miami. I was like, oh, okay, so I'll go check this out. I'm not really a big a fan of hers anyways, but the comments were like basically what I thought, which is that a dude? A poll taken says that 52% says no, she looks too muscular, followed by 48%, not too far off. Yes, it's better than all those super skinny celebs. So all different types of programming, like the bulimic Pippa look. While we're on the topic of celebrities, Marc Anthony goes public with much younger girlfriend at Disneyland. So the 44-year-old went public with a new and much younger woman in his life, Chloe Green, on Tuesday. So apparently she's 21 years old. Next up, Eric Holder says gay marriage is the next civil rights issue. Yes, when he says that, domestic terrorism is a big threat, maybe that's what he's talking about. He's talking about traditionalists and that. You have Clint Eastwood saying, what? Eastwood signs GOP's gay marriage brief. We're making a big deal out of things we shouldn't, he says, and he said in the past. So he's among the growing line of Republicans throwing their weight behind this brief filed with the Supreme Court in support of gay marriage, reports Breitbart. So this is the thing. He says, I don't give a fuck about who wants to get married to anybody else, and that instead of all this bullshit about sanctity, we should just give everybody the chance to have a life that they want, which is true. But the thing is that really, I mean, it's all about taxes. I've already gone over this. It's about taxes. That's what it is, about joint returns of taxes. People they get into this moral, ethical debate. You know, it's like, I don't care about this stuff. The fact is that they're a minority. So it's not even going to make a big deal as far as the taxes increase. That's why I don't understand why Republicans take the moral high ground about this when it really has to do about taxes. So they should just be like, well, look, I'm a conservative. I don't care about what you do. But, the fact is that, we're not going to pay for this. If you want to call yourselves a marriage, that's fine. But so again, with equality, it is the question of whether or not American citizens are going to be treated with equal protection of the laws. The Justice Department's move was seen as a victory for gay rights advocates. Let's not forget this too. CIA serves as corporate sponsors for National LGBT Conference. So this is a semi-war here. So this isn't about just fluff. It divides people, and our way of life, our society, our culture is. And if you're not for this, then you're the terrorist that Holder's talking about. Thank you.